Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Well, we kind of already knew the New Orleans Saints' single biggest need in the draft was going to be offensive line. And we've kind of phrased it before. You have wants and needs and musts, and then like whatever is above a must, like whatever is a 10x of a must is what the Saints' offensive line situation is right now. Like, this is not even debatable anymore. If anyone was considering the possibility of the Saints doing anything other than selecting the best available offensive lineman at 14 in Thursday's NFL draft. If you've not heard the news, Saints offensive lineman James Hurst is retiring, making that announcement earlier on Wednesday on social media. My assumption here is that the Saints organization had to know that this was happening, or that there was a real possibility this would happen. I can't imagine that Hurst would just spring. Before I go any further into what this means for the Saints, what the scenarios could unfold, possible names, how they mishmash this thing together, I want to start first, and most importantly, with a huge James Hurst appreciation moment, if I could. James Hurst is 32 years old, and if you remember, he was an undrafted free agent coming out of North Carolina. So he's an undrafted free agent coming out of North Carolina. He signs as a UDFA with the Baltimore Ravens and ends up playing 6 seasons, including becoming their starting left tackle. From undrafted free agent to start franchise left tackle with the Ravens for 6 years. Now, his last year in Baltimore, 2019, he only started a couple of games at left tackle. They tried to kick him inside to guard. He basically lost his spot. The Ravens said, we think you're done. We're going to move on. Okay, happens. I mean, look, for any player to go 6 years in the NFL is a massive success. Any human to last 6 years in the NFL is a resounding success. And for Hurst being a UDFA to have that kind of career was awesome. And when the Saints signed James Hurst in 2020, it was the COVID year, when the Saints signed James Hurst, the idea was, well, he's going to be that backup swing offensive lineman, kind of what Sinio Calmette was, if you remember. He was a guy that, could play guard, could play tackle. Someone went down. He was a versatile guy that could play either side of the line, any of the positions, and that made him very valuable. Well, Calmette did so well with his opportunity, the Texans signed him, so the Saints had a void, and the Saints went and signed James Hurst. And the thought of James Hurst was that he was going to be nothing more than that guy, right? He's going to be your 6th or 7th offensive lineman. A guard goes down, he could slide in. A tackle goes down, he goes in. You kick Pete to left tackle, Hurst could play guard, whatever the case may be. And all James Hurst did in New Orleans in that COVID year made 5 starts for the Saints. Played in 12 games, but made 5 starts for you. The next year in 2021, played in all 17 games with 15 starts. In 2022, played in 16 games 16 times. And last year in 2023, started all 15 games in which he played. James Hurst became the beacon of consistency and reliability. I'm not telling you James Hurst was a dominant offensive lineman for the New Orleans Saints. I'm not telling you guy was Pro Bowl, this or that, all-pro, franchise, anything. What I'm telling you is, for a guy that was a UDFA, hung on in Baltimore, became a starter, came to New Orleans when Baltimore thought his career was over, came here thinking it was going to be nothing more than a backup rotational swing guy, and ended up starting 5, 15, 16, 15 games for you. Like, round of applause for James Hurst. 32 years old. Listen, even Dennis Allen. Muse, can you play this? I know we're going to have a little delay, so my apologies for this back in studio. But Dennis Allen talked about back in October the foot injury that Hurst was dealing with then.
It's basically kind of the same, foot injury that he had, previously that he sustained in practice, and was able to play through it 2 weeks ago.
So, look, I mean, he was dealing with a foot injury, battled through it, still started 15 games for you, and now he's going to retire. So, listen, hat tip James Hurst. Let me start. That was most important to start there to say salute, job well done, 32 years old, 10 years in the NFL, 4 with the Saints, ended up starting 51 games over 4 seasons in New Orleans. Like, congrats, job well done. Now, the immediacy is this further magnifies an enormous need for the New Orleans Saints. You could look at any of the 32 NFL teams and say, what is your biggest need? And I'm not sure there is any team in the NFL, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and purport to know the ins and outs of all 32 NFL rosters. I cover the Saints, I know the Saints roster. But I can't imagine another team that has a scenario like New Orleans does with their offensive line, where this very day you have what you know to be 2 starters. Two. Eric McCoy's your center. Cesar Ruiz is your right guard. That's it. Ryan Ramczyk's career might be over. I mean, Nick Underhill is as good as it comes when it comes to reporting on the New Orleans Saints. His opinion that he shared on OTB last week was he thinks that Ryan Ramczyk won't play again. Again, it's just an opinion, not a report, but it's fair to say that Ramczyk's future is cloudy at best. Andrus Peat is a free agent. James Hurst has retired, and you got Trevor Penning, who right now is in the conversation of bust, right? You get two guys on that offensive line that you know are going to be starters when you open up the 2024 season. Like, not only do you have to take an offensive lineman at 14, but now the conversation is sincerely, do you have to take 2 and sign a free agent and hope that Penning and Saldiveri somehow become really serviceable players for you? Remember, look, when Mickey Loomis was asked about Trevor Penning, said they're still working him at tackle. Good, because you may need him to play there even if he stinks, because you have to put a warm body on the left end of your line. And that may end up being Trevor Penning. But you used a 4th-round pick on Nick Saldiveri last year, and he only played in 4 games for you as a 4th-round pick. So can Nick Saldiveri become a starter on the interior? Does Trevor Penning become your starting left guard, and then you draft a left tackle? Then what do you do on the right side? I don't know. I don't have the answers. But part of the conversation we've had for weeks in approaching this draft from the Saints' perspective has been with the understanding that if you need to in a pinch, you could play James Hurst at either spot on the left side of the line. Not that you're going to be great there, but that's an option for you. That is no longer even an option for you. So you go from a guy who, over his career in the NFL, started more than 100 games, to now potentially Nick Saldiveri, who's played in 4, or Trevor Penning, who no one knows if he's even a serviceable starting lineman in the NFL, or a rookie that you're going to draft 14. Look, the Saints right now are in a really, really tough spot on the offensive line. That is such a... It's an understatement considering the fact that you've only got 2 of the 5 and you got to find out a way. Maybe the path forward for New Orleans is going to include re-signing Andrus Peat. He's familiar with your team. He's familiar with the organization. You know the player very well. You know he can play left guard, left tackle. Like, you have to go sign. You have to go add you have to go add another free agent offensive lineman. Like, I don't even know that this is even any type of a conversation. So, look, you signed Udo from the Minnesota Vikings, so you have 1 free agent offensive lineman you've already brought in who could be a starter, but you're not even close to having enough bodies to go to camp with. So, look, it's 2 parts. It's 1, hat tip James Hurst on a job well done. It's 2, your overwhelming need at offensive line just got exacerbated. We've talked in the past about David Bakhtiari, who's 32 years old. Injuries have derailed an all-pro career. Could you sign him to a 1-year deal as an option to bring him into camp to see if he can win the left tackle job? Maybe. And it could be a stopgap for whoever you draft who could maybe play on the right side if Ramczyk's not healthy. Those are the types of conversations you have to start having right now, because there just aren't many great options right now. I mean, Mekhi Becton was a former first-round pick of the Jets. He's a free agent. Do you want to spend money there? Maybe he could be a right tackle for you. It's just you don't have options. And so you have to be really aggressive now in how you seek your options with this news about James Hurst today.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.